Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Good morning. We're back here on Real Estate Exposed. Awesome top of the morning to you. I'm Daniel Beer, Daniel Beer Group over at KW, Keller Williams Realty, and my man Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. What's going on, man?
Not much, brother. How are you? It's a good Sunday.
It's another Sunday. It is another Sunday, and what are you seeing out there, Todd, as far as people that are renting right now coming to you for relief?
I mean, it's crazy because rents in San Diego have gone up so much that people are actually getting off the fence and they're going to buying versus renting. I mean, you've got some statistics you want to talk about, right?
There's a new report actually out by the London Group Realty Advisors, which is a big, I don't know if I call them a think tank. They're essentially a think tank, a real estate think tank here in town.
Yep.
They keep track of the entire real estate market, anything from housing to hotel to commercial, everything, office space. And so a new report put out by these guys, and I've had the pleasure of being in the room with Gary London, sharp guy, and here's what they found. San Diego tenants, okay, if you're renting property here in San Diego County,
right, the
average San Diego tenant is paying upwards of 35% of their income.
35% of their gross income to rent?
To rent. So, Todd, how would an underwriter look at that if you were trying to qualify for a mortgage and it was going to cost you, your mortgage payment, it was going to be upwards of 35% of your gross income?
Well, you're within qualifying ranges.
You'd still be.
Yeah, because you can go up to 40. You can go up to, actually, we're doing a deal right now. We can go up to 55%.
But that's including all of their debts.
Including all their debts.
So
correct.
if you're paying up to 35%,
then you've got your
just
car
on that,
payments,
and you have everything
and credit
else,
card payments, and all that other stuff. Exactly.
Then you may not qualify.
Exactly, you may not qualify.
So it's a dangerous game. It's one of the highest percentages of your income is toward rent is being paid right here in San Diego County. Now, here's what really surprised me when I read this story is that we're paying more than San Francisco is.
That's shocking.
They're at 29%. Mountain View.
Do you think that's because incomes are higher in San Francisco?
Actually, yes, it has a lot to do with it.
Right.
They definitely play into each other, but
right.
It's kind of a revolving. It's a catch-22, or it's an issue that feeds itself because we're in such a competitive job environment where we're trying to attract top talent to the San Diego market, especially in tech, trying to attract them away from places like San Jose, Silicon Valley, and so on.
The Valley, yep.
And yet it's so difficult for them for these people that are coming to work here to be able to find affordable housing. And affordable housing, mind you, we're talking about people making six figures. It's hard for them to find a housing that's affordable to them.
Agreed.
Okay, so then that makes it harder for us to attract the best talent and the best jobs, which allows us to, grow our economy, which allows us to grow our incomes and our salaries, which again just
goes back to real estate and values and it going up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's a big issue, and so we are, however, paying less rent here in San Diego County than those folks in Santa Barbara. They're at 48%. And in Santa Cruz County, they're 41%. So in any case, if you're a landlord right now, if you're collecting rents, you're happy. If you're renting, you're not so much. And you probably could be into the same type of property at a much lower payment if you just converted it from rent to mortgage.
Yep. True.
So you're listening, by the way, to Real Estate Exposed. News Radio 600 KOGO, Daniel Beer, and Todd Pianin. Phone number, if you want to connect with us in any way, is 800-676-2420. That's 800-676-2420. Now, here's something that's going on in the world that's just, I don't understand. Todd doesn't understand. And that's this whole PokemonGo craze. I can't believe I'm even uttering that phrase on the air. I never thought I would even say the word Pokemon. But you're talking about, and we've mentioned this once before, you're talking about people falling off cliffs, people getting stabbed, not watching their surroundings. You're talking about businesses getting overrun by people running in wildly to capture these things. I don't understand what it is. So what we've done is that we have an expert here in studio to just explain to us
what exactly it is.
What is this thing? What is this Pokemon Go thing? So we have Jake Pianin, 3rd grader, local San Diegan. Jake, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Jake. So, what is this Pokemon Go that everybody is so wildly obsessed with? I'll admit, I actually downloaded the thing to try to figure it out.
Right.
I downloaded it, tried to figure it out, try to just, what is everyone so excited about? Jake, I don't get it. So, Jake, can you explain this thing to us? What is it all about? Why are people going crazy?
Yeah, we were in the lobby and we're playing Pokemon Go, waiting, as we're waiting this Sunday morning to come in and do the show. Jake's on my phone doing Pokemon Go. So, Jake, tell us, first off, what is Pokemon Go and why is everybody so crazy about it?
So it's a GPS and you can catch Pokemon in it.
You can catch Pokemon anywhere?
Anywhere.
So, Jake, why is... But there's kind of a lot of... people are going a little over the top. The whole world's talking about why. Businesses are talking about it, Todd.
Yeah,
businesses are using it as a way to attract people into their business.
Correct.
It's now a marketing tool in our marketplace, just like Facebook and so on.
We were to Islands, a month ago, and that's the Pokemon stop, right? So, even like restaurants like Islands are doing it. So anyway, Jake, so tell us, how does it work? Why is it so crazy? And why are you and your friends playing it all the time now?
Yeah, what makes it so fun?
Well, you can search around where Pokemon is, so...
You can search around everywhere and see where there's a Pokemon?
Yes.
And so if you're here at the iHeartMedia radio station, we're here on KOGO 600 AM right now, you could find Pokemon in the lobby or something like that?
Yeah.
And then what do you do? How does it work?
Do you get rewarded somehow?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
How do you
do? How?
Explain.
Well, you can upgrade levels.
Right.
Do you get physical rewards, or does it somehow translate into money? Are people actually making money on this?
No.
Not yet. They're talking about commoditizing it, though, right? They're talking,
Well, Nintendo's stock price went up. It doubled. It's now, I think, since come up down. I don't really track it that closely.
30%. It dropped 30%.
Did it drop?
Yeah, but then they said that Apple is going to make something like $1 billion based on their percentage of the buy, that you can buy stuff on the app.
Isn't this owned by? From the
App Store.
From the App Store. So how do they actually monetize this thing?
So you can buy stuff. So we were driving here, right, Jake, and we were out of Pokemon balls. So we had to buy. So I had to spend money to buy more Pokemon.
You did?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So
Todd,
yes.
Todd for Dad of the Year.
Exactly.
That's just interesting. So Jake, at school, are kids allowed to just run around with cell phones playing this game, or do the teachers now, are they taking phones away? How does that work?
No, there's no phones at Delcer.
So there's no phones allowed at school, period.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, well that's a good thing.
Yes, exactly. But Jake, you've watched some YouTube videos. Tell Dan some stories of what have happened to some people playing Pokemon Go. Did you talk about a guy walking off a cliff or something like that?
That was on Facebook.
That was on Facebook. Okay, so there's a guy. So Jake, tell him the story. What happened? The guy was playing what? He was playing Pokemon Go.
There's a guy playing Pokemon Go, and then he was paying attention to his phone, not looking where he was going, so he fell off a cliff.
He fell off a cliff, Dan. He was playing Pokemon Go, and he fell off the cliff. So I think after the radio show, maybe we'll show Dan exactly how to do the Pokemon Go. What do you say, Jake?
That's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
I'll be interested in seeing that. And thanks for sharing that, Jake. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed. Look, I still don't get it, but we tried. I still don't get it. But yeah, the whole world's gone upside down. It's now part of our marketing world, just like Facebook is, social media, Twitter, etc. That infected business. This Pokemon thing is also. But you know what I heard, which is interesting?
What's that?
Is that it actually is so wildly popular now. And again, I don't quite understand it.
Right.
But it's so wildly popular that if you're, say, a pizza shop and you want to become a Poke Stop thing,
right,
whatever majiggy thing, so that you attract people to your store,
right?
There's something like 20-something thousand businesses now in front of you waiting in line. You're actually not even getting in That's how clogged up this thing is.
Remember, we talked about this like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. I said to you, you got to find out, Dan, how to make this work for like your, for real
business.
estate.
I thought you were crazy, but you were right. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, News Radio 600 KOGO, Daniel Beer, Todd Pianin. The number here is 800-676-2420. Coming up next.
It's going to be a special time. Can't wait. We're Real Estate Exposed, and like I said last week, I've got lots of questions. We're going to put Dan Beer on the hot seat. Coming right back at you. Good morning. This is a happy Sunday for you. This is Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank with my buddy Dan Beer from the Dan Beer Group. Beer just like the drink over at Keller Williams. So what we're going to do, we're here on KOGO 600 AM every Sunday morning, but what I wanted to do this weekend is really important to me, and I think it's important to our listeners, is that we're going to actually put Dan on the hot seat. So before I get going, I want to give you a phone number to reach us. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to myself or Dan, 800-676-2420. But I'm going to interview Dan. I'm going to ask him the questions that you want to know, questions that probably lots of people want to know, because Dan is, just so some of you know, Dan is number one in the county right now in San Diego for volume. And he is number two, I believe, in the county for transactions. 2 or 3, depending upon one or two. Okay, 1 or 2.
1 and 2.
One or two. And this has been a huge jump in Dan's business over the last 3 years. And so I know there's a lot of people out there. Dan's been doing this for a long time. He's been in the business for over 11 years. He was ranked this year, first time, I think, by the Wall Street Journal. Mm-hmm. He'll be ranked on a go-forward basis by the Wall Street Journal. So he's in the top tier of, I think there's something like 30,000 real estate agents in San Diego County. You're number one. There's something like
year-to-date number one per MLS statistics, right, is what it is. And just to be clear, because everyone makes,
false accusations.
No, I'm not saying they're false. There's just different ways of being number one, and there's different rankings and so on. So it's per MLS year-to-date, actually per broker metrics to be exact.
So anyway, we got a highly successful guy in the real estate business, and in the studio right now, we're always the hosts. We're always asking other people questions, or we're always telling you what's going on in the market. I thought it'd be a really good idea for us to sort of peel back the onion that we call Dan Beer, who's super highly successful. And again, you can get in touch with Dan at 800-676-2420. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us as a podcast on iTunes. But let's just jump right in. So Dan, my first question for you is what brought you into the real estate business? You've been doing this for 11 years, and what brought you in?
So I got into the business not because of any kind of great story or reason, but rather, much like a lot of people do, it's sort of an accidental industry, which is one of the tragic things about it, and why it's so clogged up with so many people that are, really a lot of hobbyists are in this business. Going back 11 years ago, my father was going to sell a home, mm-hmm, and I got my license in order to be able to sell it. Back then, it was 2005. Real estate.
But what did you graduate in college? I mean, you didn't go to college for real estate.
No. I have a finance degree and also an entrepreneurship degree out of Syracuse University. And after school, I actually was a financial accountant for a big aerospace company, a Fortune 500 aerospace company. I was in LA. I quickly realized that that wasn't for me at all.
You didn't want to be a cog in the wheel?
I like results. And right. I couldn't wrap my mind around the idea that regardless if I worked hard that day or not, regardless if I worked at all or not,
right,
I'd get paid anyway.
Right.
And that concept just didn't work well for me. I like results. I like being competitive. I like being creative every day. And so that just wasn't for me. I quit 7 months later and found myself getting my real estate license to help my dad sell a house. It was 2005.
So you took like 7 months off. So you actually took like a period of time off and then trying to figure out what you wanted to do. And
somewhat. I worked with my dad for a while, and he had a business that I joined them on. But yeah, it was kind of a... it was a natural after college experience, right? I mean, it's very much... Those early 20s are tough years. You're finding yourself very much in those years, right? And so that's a lot of what that was for me.
So your dad, a lot of people don't know, is a developer.
He was one.
He was a developer here in town. But
so in any case, I got my license. I helped him sell a house. At the time, real estate was considered to be easy because it was 2005.
Right.
And in 2005, you know what? They were right. It was easy. That first sale that I made, that one first sale,
right,
was easy. Last easy sale I ever made in my life. The market then quickly started changing, and fast forward, here we are.
Okay, so here's the other big question that people want to know. So what's a day in the life of Dan Beer? So I mean, meaning from when you get up in the morning till you go to bed at night, and then we're going to kind of get into your business a little bit and how it's shaped and formed. But I really want people to understand, what a top level, high producing agent looks like. So what's a typical day?
So typical day is that I'm going to be up at 5. I'm going to be working out 5:30 a.m. I'll work out for an hour.
Do you work out at home, or do you have a gym, or do you go to a gym?
I'll go out and I'll work out. There's actually a personal trainer in our neighborhood that we go and work out there.
Okay.
So we'll go out, or I'll go out.
Every day. So every day you're working out.
This particular training will be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at this person's house. Otherwise, I'll be doing it on my own at my house.
So you do it. So 5 days a week you're working out.
My goal is actually 4.
Okay, cool.
So it's actually 4, and I will choose one day where I stay in and I just spend more time with my son.
Okay.
But I'll go and do that. I'll work out for an hour. I'll come home. I'll spend time with my son. I'll be in the shower, and I'll get to work by 8 a.m.
Have you checked? So one of the questions: have you checked your emails at all since between 5:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning?
I will check. My phone will be checked for the first time at roughly 7 a.m. or so.
Okay.
And so I'll get to the office at 8 a.m. But here's where it really starts to change, as opposed to what. The average agent isn't even awake at 8 a.m.
Right.
Okay? I mean, or they're heading to yoga or wherever else they're going.
Right.
So I, along with my entire team, my staff, our buyer specialists, our listing agents, our inside sales agents, our marketing department, everybody, we're in 8 a.m. and we're working. From 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., we're generating new business. 9:03, I go into a meeting with my entire team. It's a stand-up meeting. We call it our daily huddle, and we'll be in that meeting roughly for about 17 minutes.
And what do you guys talk about in that meeting?
We catch each other up on all issues that are relevant over the next 24 hours. It's a moment where we can all touch each other, talk, and just make sure, you get to talk across departments, transaction management, with listing management, with production people, with salespeople, so that we can all get on the same page. You can consider it a same page meeting every morning.
Okay.
That way, there's better communication flow throughout our business. We then will go at about 9:17 and 9:30. I make myself available to my team for any little quick, 5-minute type meetings that people need. Mm-hmm. And then I'll bunker down 9:30 until 11:30. I'll be following up with clients.
What do you mean following up on contracts?
Following up on contracts, following up on people that we've been on appointments with that we haven't yet entered into an agreement on. We will be producing buyers for our sellers on their homes. There's basically.
Are you creating your own call list, or do you have an assistant that creates that call list for you, so you know who to call and when to call?
Well, some of our call lists are created by our staff, and some are created by our systems. I personally never do. No.
You don't create your call list. So
no. I don't do any administrative work whatsoever. My day is 100% spent on generating traffic and strategy for our listings, mm-hmm. and on negotiating contracts, and then being on appointments and signing new business with new sellers. My entire day is focused around my most important tasks. Everybody has their, you could call it your one thing or your top 20%. It's just, it's that concept that is true in any part or walk of life, where 20% of what you do results in 80, or gives you 80% of your results.
Okay, so now,
I stay in my 20% all day long.
So now we're at 11:30. You made those calls.
It's 11:30. I'll take a break. I'll breathe. I'll open the door to my office. I'll check in with my team. Mm-hmm. I'll check in with my staff, and then at that point, I'll typically head out to lunch. Though depending on the day of the week, we also we could have a training exactly at about that time. And we have a training on our team. We're doing skills training every single day, Monday to Friday, our skills training for everybody that's on the sales side of the team.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. That's where your lunchtime is. We're going to come back after break, and we're going to finish the rest of your day, and then I've got lots more questions for you. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed, KOGO 600 AM, talking with Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank, just promoted to branch manager. My boy Dan Beer, and the beer just like to drink, #1 agent in San Diego County, Jake Pianin. You can reach any of us at 800-676-2420. Again, 800-676-2420. Follow us on Facebook, Real Estate Exposed. We have a podcast on iTunes. Look for us all over the place. Welcome back to Real Estate Exposed. Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank. My boy Dan Beer from Keller Williams, Dan Beer Group. We are having a great morning because we've actually put Dan on the hot seat and we're asking him questions. Right now, we're in the middle of what a typical day for Dan looks like. When we left, it was right around, I think, 12:30. You said maybe you go 11:30.
I'll be back about 11:30 to 12:30. I'll breathe. I'll think. I'll go head to lunch. I'll be back to the office.
Got it. Cool. So, question for you though. One quick question: do you eat breakfast?
I have a small breakfast, not as big as I should, and I just recently saw a doctor. I need to start having a little bit more of a breakfast, and actually it affects everything, including cholesterol levels, just because your body, she says, will basically my body is shut down for too long and then goes into like famine mode.
You know that 70% of highly successful people don't eat breakfast. They have coffee for breakfast every morning.
Yeah, I don't drink any caffeine, so I have to pick up something, I guess.
Got it. Maybe that's...
But, that's pretty much the day, Todd, because after I come back from lunch, I'm typically going to be on appointments for the rest of the day. I'll have 2 to 3 appointments, and then I'll be home.
So what time are you typically home every night?
So I have some days of the week where I allow myself to get home as late as 8 p.m., and other days of the week where I am home by 5. Fridays, no matter what, I'm home by 3 to make sure I get time in with my son. So that's just something I had to do. I was working 60, 70-hour weeks. I wasn't seeing my family enough, and so it's just a discipline that I've built into my day. And on Fridays, 3 o'clock, no matter what, you want to sell a $10 million house, that's great. You're going to want to work with the best. I appreciate that, and we're going to definitely wait for Monday.
But that's awesome. So, here's a question that people ask all the time. Do you read all your emails, or do you have an assistant read your emails for you and then say to you, hey, Dan, you got to respond to this. This is an important email.
So I'm monitoring email throughout the day, but so is my assistant. And so with the amount that I get, there's certainly, it just is not productive for me to comb through every last one.
Right.
So there's going to be anything that's client-related. That'll be funneled into a special inbox that I have where I'm going to make sure that I see that every time.
Right.
But we've basically built systems in so that all the spam that I receive also I don't have to get bogged down with.
You're a techie though, so there's a lot of programs out there. Is there a particular app that you use or anything that?
No, we've just built folders into. We run our business through Google Business Apps as far as email is concerned, and we've just built folders out for that. And between my assistant and I, we make sure that every important email is on my radar, and that those that are not important are either, or at least they might be important but not important to me. Perhaps somebody's asking me a question, but I'm not even the best suited to answer it. It'd be answered by perhaps our contract to close specialist or our listing manager.
Right.
Just get them in the right place.
So I've worked together with you I've worked with you as your lender for a really long time. So I know your business pretty much in senior growth and gone inside and out. But I want to know, you changed your business drastically, I would say, over the last 3 to 4 years. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay. So what were you doing? And when did you have that? What exactly happened to have that aha moment to go, something's wrong here, and I need to change it? Because you've disrupted the industry, and in a very short period of time, you've gained this monumental success, and your clients love you, and it's not, and so it's a win across the board. I mean, so what? Listeners, what I want to know personally is, when did you wake up in the middle of the night and go, aha, this is something I should do? So what were you doing, and then how did you change it? The
biggest thing that happened is I spent a long time, years, doing what every agent does, and it's just a function of how low the barrier to entry is into this industry. After a very small effort, you suddenly licensed to handle people's multi-$100,000 or $1 million transactions and to affect their lives and their families and their financial standing moving forward, sometimes for the rest of their lives. And that's scary.
Yep.
That's very, very scary. In the financial advising world, they have incredibly difficult tests in the Series 7 and the 46. Mm-hmm. They have all these long processes. CPAs, we had a CPA in studio last week, and you're talking about years and years and years of study. Attorneys, same thing. Doctors, same thing. But for us, we get to affect people's financial lives after very minimal effort and with virtually no qualifications needed.
I get all that. We talk about that.
But so here's the thing. I was doing what everyone else was doing.
But where were you when you decided to change your business, and what was that?
It was about 8 years into the business.
Right.
And I had spent way too long telling sellers specifically that I was going to get them the most the money the market would bear. Right. And frankly, on the buying side, I'd spent far too long telling people I was going to find them a great house, but in reality, just acting as a door opener.
Right.
Just showing them the same homes that everyone else was seeing, the same homes that are online for everybody to see. I wasn't producing value. And I didn't really know how. And the reason I was doing what I was doing is because I looked at all the generations of agents before me, and that's what they did.
Right.
So I kind of lived in a time of dissonance, right? Because dissonance sets in when you're doing something contrary to your beliefs or to what you believe, should be right.
So it just felt wrong to you?
And it felt wrong, and it was just a long process of eventually asking myself the right questions. And the right question was, why am I doing what I'm doing? I actually literally asked myself that
right.
and realized everything I just shared with you. And then I asked myself, well, if this is how agents are and we're selling homes, who out there sells homes better than anybody else? And I realized I was looking at the wrong place.
You were looking at the people who are doing the business.
Well, and so then I've turned my focus to big home builders, and I studied their model and so on. We tell the whole story at our home selling workshops, but that's kind of where I was. I was just doing what the crowds do, which does not allow you to produce disproportionate value.
So, so a lot of people, what's the first step that you did? What was the first thing you did when you decided it was time to make a change? What was like the first thing you did?
Well, I spent years
because it had to feel like completely crazy to you to actually make this change anyway.
Well, the biggest thing I did was I spent years, and literally years, studying like crazy, finding the best people in the industry, and not necessarily in San Diego. I'm talking about flying around the country, getting people on the phone, masterminding with the best of the best of the best, and just like obsessively studying, looking, listening, digging deep, digging for those hidden nuggets, and they're all out there. Nothing in this industry is secret, but you have to be obsessed with finding it and looking for it and learning. So that's really the biggest shift. You started
finding mentors or coaches,
absolutely,
and in the industry, and that's not a lot of people in this industry do what you do by taking it as professionally as you take it and run it like a corporation, and B, go out there and try to search for mentors or coaches or mentees to kind of make that kind of thing happen. I mean, I think it's pretty amazing.
That was the biggest thing that then just, opened up my world. Do you realize, I remember the feeling I had the first time I heard of somebody talking of selling over 100 homes a year. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't understand. I literally just didn't understand what they were saying.
How many homes? How many homes will you sell this year?
This year I'll sell about 220. I'll put under contract. We'll close out about 190 to 200 of them this year.
So you were sitting in the room with people who were selling over 100 homes, and to you that was, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to ever do that.
I wasn't even in the room in this case. I just heard of it through this group I got involved with, and it was online. And when they threw that out, I couldn't believe it was real. But Todd, you have to understand that we have a high dollar, we have a high price point market.
Right.
And in a market like ours, there's just so much competition. A high producing agent, a very high producing agent in our market might do 20 deals a year.
Right.
A very high producing agent. And so when I heard 100 plus, and then I started seeing found people that were talking about 200, people that were talking about 400 and 500.
Right.
I needed to know more, and I needed to dig in and go learn as much as I could.
Okay, well, you're listening to KOGO your AM 600 KOGO. We're here on a Sunday morning with you. If you want to get in touch with myself or Dan Beer, 800-676-2420. We're having a great interview with Dan. Lots more questions. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us everywhere. We're Real Estate Exposed. Again, reach out to Dan or I, 800-676-2420. And when we get back from break, we've got more questions for Dan. Welcome back to this Sunday morning. This is Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank. We are on KOGO 600 AM. I've got my man here, Dan Beer, from the Dan Beer Real Estate Group, Keller Williams, #1 agent in the county. We are going through and asking him questions about his business, how he got into the business. It's a super exciting morning, so I just want to jump right back in. But if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at 800-676-2420, and either Dan or myself can get back to you. Again, 800-676-2420. iTunes, we have a podcast, so if you've missed part of this interview, which I highly recommend, you should go back and download it. We also are on Facebook at Real Estate Exposed. So, Dan, we were talking about before the break. We were talking about how most real estate agents don't do. They do maybe 20 high. Doing 200 homes, selling 200 homes in a year is a pretty amazing feat. And you were kind of in there about talking about when you started hearing about people selling 100 homes. So that kind of triggered what you did, and you disrupted the mortgage, the real estate space a lot. But what I want to ask you is getting now. What would you say are your 3 biggest mistakes, or your top mistake? It doesn't have to be 3. Your top mistake you made in the business, and if you could go back in time and talk to younger Dan, what would you tell him to do differently?
Well, the biggest thing was probably trying to do everything. It was not specializing. And the biggest shift in our business came in the service we were able to provide our clients.
What do you mean by doing everything? So,
I specialized, when I started to focus on specialization in the business. So a typical agent, which I was, will, they're the buyer. They work with buyers. They work with sellers. They're the marketing person. They're their own assistant. They're their own listing department. Their contract to close department. They work on their operations. They build out their systems if they have any. If they have time to build them out.
Right.
They work on everything.
Right.
Okay, so I was doing the same thing. That's the biggest mistake. And the exponential growth in our business came when we started to focus on specialization, having one person to each role. Myself, when I took on, Brian Danny, who's now literally the county's #1 buyer specialist, period. I mean, the guy, he's an incredible buyer's agent.
Who had a birthday on Wednesday, took the day off.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday to Brian. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy that can deliver superior results and superior service because it's his one thing that he does. And so much so that I had him sell my own brother his house. Why? Because my calendar, my day isn't built around working with a buyer directly. Brian's is.
Right.
If Brian's relative were to sell their home, he'd refer them to me because my day is built around working with a seller directly.
Got it.
And so it's all about specialization. And it's every day of the week that a specialized heart surgeon is going to make more than a general practitioner.
Right, but that's my question, Dan. I mean, wouldn't you make more money if you did? I mean, if you did everything?
Absolutely not. And I've been there. I've done everything. I made far less, and I do my one thing, and I make far more. And it's because we can actually help more people. We can help more people because we can do it with greater levels of expertise, more efficiently, and with much higher degrees of satisfaction to the client. Because when I'm dealing with someone that has entrusted me to sell their home,
right,
and to implement a plan and a process that has a proven track record to it that delivers disproportionate higher value and that can systematically get them a result that they're counting on, I deliver on that because that's the one thing that I have to focus on in my day. If I don't get distracted by everything else. I mean, there's a reason.
There's a lot of noise out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things you
shiny
can,
objects.
Yeah,
and
a lot of things. Other things you could be doing.
There's a reason that the term, jack of all trades, master of none. I mean, these timeless sayings that exist, they exist for a reason.
Right. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I want to just kind of talk about two things that are important to me. So. What is the one book you're kind of giving out to your friends right now? Like, what's your favorite book that if you were to, sit down and it's like changed your life? Or like, I have a book right now. I gave you that new Elon Musk book. What's the one book that you're kind of like giving out to your friends?
So a book that's made a huge impact on me and on our business recently is a book called Essentialism. And
who's that by?
It's Greg McKeown.
Okay.
It's a strange spelling to it, but if you look up Essentialism, and it's all about that. It's about, again, doing more by doing less, getting really focused on what truly matters, saying no to the rest of the noise, and by doing so, you can do it more effectively, you can go deeper, and you can deliver much greater results, which in the end will actually... It's amazing how it will feed you more. So again, a timeless saying that exists for a reason. Less is more.
Right.
And we've talked today about staying focused on your one thing or on that top 20% of activities that are delivering on 80% of the results and then doing away with the rest. That doesn't mean the rest don't get done.
Right.
That they don't get done by you.
Right.
And it's all in the same vein, right? And understanding those trade-offs in life.
So Essentialism is the name of the book.
Essentialism.
I would highly recommend. Obviously, Dan's, his life's changed around this book. If you want to get in touch with Dan or I, 800-676-2420. Again, 800-676-2420. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on iTunes as a podcast. My next question for you, Dan, is: do you have any kind of rituals or apps that you use, that could help people? Example, for me, what I do every night is I journal for 5 minutes. And I also use a new app that I got from Tim Ferriss. It's called Headspace. It's like a meditation thing that it takes 10 minutes out of your day, and it's been awesome for me. Those are two of my rituals. Do you have any kind of like rituals?
I don't, and not in terms of in the way you just described, but journaling is absolutely something that I need to commit to. Journaling, even 10 minutes a day. I mean, can you imagine in those moments of clarity, especially when you're just about to wake up, just about to go to sleep, that tends to be when you really become clear, or often it revolves around the bathroom for me. But
right.
If you were able to get some of that down, and then over the course of time, if you had, years worth of your thoughts on paper, that would be absolutely golden. What an awesome thing to give to your children, by the way.
Exactly. That's what I think. Okay, our special guest in the studio has one question for you. Do you remember what your question was, Jake? Ask Dan the question. We're running out of time.
How do you get famous?
How did you get as famous as you are?
Jake, I never sought out to do that. I don't think I am, so thank you, Jake. But I don't know how to answer that. Here's how did I get successful? I can answer that, and it was simply
we have less than.
It's one thing at a time. It's a series of small wins, but all geared toward a plan. And what you really need to have is goal setting. Most people do it backwards. They say, what do I need to do today so I can accomplish my goal for a week from now, for a month from now, for a year from now, for 5 years from now? Very hard to do. It's hard to project forward. Rather than what you should be doing is figuring out that plan for a year from now. What do I have to do in the next 6 months? What do I have to do this month? What do I have to do this week? What do I have to do today in order to be on pace? Anyhow,
we got lots more questions for you, Dan. We'll have to pick up another time. If you want to get in touch with us, 800-676-2420. I'm Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank, member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Dan, thank you for opening up your Komodo to us. Jake, thanks for coming in the studio.